Hi and welcome to this latest in a series of videos on creating a simple maze game in Stencyl, and this is going to be the last of the initial set of videos where we're going to finish our game off. And what we're going to try to do hopefully is enable us to count the number of objects that a player has collected and then do something based on that. So in this case, when 3 key cards are collected, an exit should appear and the player can escape and win the game. Now, if this is going to assume that you've looked at the previous video on game attributes, and if you haven't, I suggest you go back and look at the previous one on score, and then come back and look at this one. So if you're ready, we'll carry on. We're going to add another event because what I need to do is I need to set an initial value, which is going to be another game attribute, for the number of items on my level. Now on my level I've got 3 key cards. Now obviously you may have more, you may have less, doesn't matter, but for our purposes we need to set it as 3 for the start of our game. So I need to go back to events, and I've already got a created event here which allows me to initialize score. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make a new one, and I'm going to call it I'm going to do a variable called collected, a game attribute called collected. And actually no, I'm not. I'm going to do it called remaining, because you can either do it so you count how many have been collected, or you can do it so it counts how many you need to collect. And I'm going to do it so it counts how many are left. So I'm going to call it remaining. And so at the start of the game there are 3 key cards remaining, and remaining is now added to my set of game attributes down there, and I need to set that at the beginning at the same time I set the score. So set remaining goes into there, and that, don't set that to 0, that needs to be set to 3. You need to make sure obviously that you've set it based on how many objects you've got. Right, so there is our event. So that's pretty straightforward. I'm not going to draw the number left on screen because it's fairly obvious that how many there are left, so that shouldn't really be a big deal. If you've got a lot of objects to collect in a game, you might want to do what we did here when we looked at how to draw score onto the screen. One thing I will do is I'm just going to rename the events, because as I've been saying each time we've done an event, it's a good idea to do that. So this is going to be set up variables, and this is going to be draw score on screen, so we know what each one of these things does. Right, now what we're going to do now is go to our again an event that we've already created, which is inside our key card actor. And what we've got so far is a fairly simple bit of code that means that when it collides with the key card, when the player hits the key card disappears and we add to score. What we also need to do is to change the value of remaining, because obviously if they've collected a key card, there are now fewer key cards on the screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to another game attribute here. So game attribute, and that's going to be set remaining, and I need to take 1 away from the current value of remaining. So I'm going to go back to my numbers and text, because we're dealing with a number. I'm going to go to subtract, I'm going to pop that into there, set remaining to, and I want it to set it to score. So go back to my game, sorry, not score, to remaining, set remaining to, and then I need to go into game attributes, remaining minus 1. So each time it collects a key card, 100 is added to score, but 1 is taken away from remaining. And then what I need to do is to check at this point how many are left, because if there are none left, I can make the door appear. So I'm going to go to flow, and I'm going to add a little bit more programming. So I'm going to use an if in here. I'm going to use an if block and drag that inside there. It must go inside this main block here, because this is a check that takes place when the player hits the key card. So what I want to see is whether the value of remaining has reached 0. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to the section in here which is booleans. Okay, and sorry, comparisons, not booleans, because I want to see, I want to use this value here because I want to see if it's less than 1. I could do equals to 0. I'm just going to do it as less than 1. So I'm going to drag this in here. Okay, so and in here I want to check whether remaining is less than 1. So remaining is less than 1. So if remaining is less than 1, what do I want to happen? Well, what I want to happen is for a door to appear on my level. So I'm going to go back to my level, and I need to see where I want that to appear. Now I'm probably going to put it at the top left here, and obviously what I'm assuming is that you've added a door, and if you haven't, you need to. You can see, you may notice I've got an additional actor called exit. So I'm going to go back to my keycard code, and I need to put this block in. Now I need to get to the right set of blocks, and I always get a little bit muddled up with the one that I'm going to do. So I'm going to go add a block in there, so that if remaining is less than 1, it will add a door to my level. So I'm going to go place a block, and I just need to get to the right set of blocks, which is going to be, I want to create block. So I always forget which section they're under. Not in there, not in there, not in there. There we go, it's create. Okay, so it's create an actor type. So I'm going to use create actor type, put that under there, and the actor type I want to create, double click on there, is an exit, and then I choose where that appears on my game. So I'm going to put it 46 and 51, X and Y. Obviously I've already checked that I'm happy with that positioning, and just press enter. Let's make sure you're happy with what that does, that little bit of code, because it may look a little bit complicated, but it's very straightforward. So basically what we're saying is, when the actor, in this case the key card, is collided with by the player, so the player hits the key card will disappear, it will add 100 to the score, take 1 off the number of key cards there are remaining, and then it will check how many key cards there are remaining, and if there aren't any left, if it's collected them all, it will create an exit on the screen. So what I'm going to do is compile this game, and then we can test to see whether that bit works. Okay, so keep your eye on the top left of the level where the door should appear. As soon as the game is finished compiling, we'll see what it looks like and if it works. And this is hopefully is about the most complicated code you'll need to write. So there we go, and you can see what's happened. I've collected all 3 key cards. The exit's now appeared, but nothing else happens, which I knew because we haven't set that up yet. So I think what we'll do, we'll save the finishing off of the game to one final video where we look at what happened, creating a win screen and colliding with the door to win the game. So see if you can add the code that we've added in this tutorial, and I'll see you in the final video.